All right, Fishback, in this video, we're going to talk about one more thing that you can build on with your mechanics, okay? And we've already identified one of your strengths, and that's the fact that you're able to deliver your torso really late in your delivery. So you see here, you keep yourself square to us, and your torso comes really late. And that late rotation helps you add velocity to your fastball. And then we talked about areas where you can improve. We talked about getting your hips loaded when you lift your knee and maintaining your posture when you lift your knee. And then the last thing we talked about is what you look like when your foot strikes the ground. And you can see here that your elbows aren't equally lined up. Okay, and this is a serious problem in terms of balance. And basically what you're going to notice is that your arm is ahead of your body. So what happens is you end up throwing with more arm than you do body. You look at Roger Clemens, when he gets his foot down on the ground, right here, you can see that those elbows are equally lined up. And he's using his body to throw, and his arm is simply a byproduct of all the power he uses and shifts towards home plate. So we're going to talk about one more thing that you can do to work on getting your arm to a better position at the right time. And simply the idea is getting your hands and the break of your hands more in sync with your legs. And to demonstrate this, we're going to take both of you guys back to your set positions. All right, and we're going to take a look at what Roger Clemens does, and then we're going to take a look at how you are a little bit different. So the first thing I want you to see here is we're going to get Clemens into his knee lift. Right there is the top of his knee lift, and what you'll notice is that you're very similar to Clemens at this position. There's the top of your knee lift. And there's some things you'll notice. One, you'll notice that, like Clemens, your head is over your center of gravity, so you're balanced there. Like Clemens, you have your hands set right around your chest position, or your chest area. And like Clemens, you get your knee pointed towards your armpit. So 3 good things you're doing at the top of your knee lift. Now, from this point on, you guys diverge. You're much different. And I'm going to explain that right now. You're going to see here that Roger Clemens, as he begins to deliver, he's going to shift or begin to shift weight towards home plate. In other words, he's going to create momentum towards home plate. And he's doing this before his hands break. You see here his hands are still together. And you can see him shifting weight, and his hands are still together as he continues to shift weight towards home plate. And here his hands are still together as he shifts weight towards home plate. And there's the point where they break. And I want you to notice that his hands break below his belly button or his belt. Now, if we take a look at you over here on the left-hand side, you're going to see here that your hands break a little early. You don't quite get any weight shifted towards home plate. Here you bring your foot down and your hands break, and you can see here that a lot of your weight is still on the back side of this leg right here. And that's a problem because you're not generating enough momentum towards your target. And when you don't generate enough momentum towards your target, you end up throwing with more arm than body. Now, the other thing I want you to notice is when you break your hands, where you're at, you break your hands right here. And you break them above your belt line. Whereas with Clemens, again, he doesn't break them till below his belt line. And so the hand break happens early. And because your hand break happens early, what happens is your arm gets in your slot early as well. Look right here, your arm is in the throwing slot, but your foot hasn't quite hit the ground. And at this point, I would argue, if we go back, this is the point where you're equal opposite. But your foot, you can see, is still further away from the ground. Whereas with Clemens, like I showed you earlier, because he breaks his hands the right way, and because he shifts weight before he breaks his hands, when his foot hits the ground, everything is lined up. I mean, you guys look identical here with the upper half. The only problem is your foot isn't on the ground and his is. And so he's going to be able to shift more weight before he throws. In other words, his feet are going to deliver his hips. His hips are going to deliver his torso, and the last thing to come is his arm. So his arm is just a whipping motion as a result of all the body weight that he's generated towards home plate. But because your arm slot is early, you're going to be throwing with more arm than body, and you can see it. Your arm's already coming, And there's a lot of stress on that elbow as a result. So to review, if we can get you to begin shifting weight before you break your hands, like you see here with Roger Clemens, and then break your hands below your belt line a little bit later, your arm will be on time when your foot hits the ground.